Okay, we have 10 minutes to do a very quick video on the Diaspora series, chapter 27, part 1. We shall do part 2 tomorrow. A lot of people ask me, Mr. Patrick, we love you. How did you make it to London? How did you come to London? It was the maiden voyage, by the way. And I arrived here on a very bitter winter evening. There was a very big snowstorm. There was a lockdown at the airport. Flights couldn't land. They were clearing up snow. I was held up. The plane was held up for about 2 hours, connecting via Amsterdam. It was a day flight, arriving here at 6:45 p.m. in the evening. I've got the photos if you want to see what really was happening at the Heathrow Airport that evening, when the plane finally managed to land at around 9 p.m. in the evening. Yeah, we orbited around London for about 2 hours. The plane couldn't land and they couldn't return back to Amsterdam. Finally, we landed. All clear, landing passengers. It was very quiet at the immigration, very quiet. Remember, we were in a group. The group had left me. They had already come here 2 weeks almost before me on a study tour. So I was with my girlfriend. But you know the story that happened at Entebbe Airport anyway. So there was the fracas and then I missed the flight. So it was very much a cultural shock, you know. Once I came through, I was received warmly, by the way. The immigration officer was she was a sweet lady, English lady. Hello, good evening, sir. Whom are you traveling with? Is she your girlfriend? Blah, 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 blah. You know, questions like that. I said, oh, we're here, you know, we're going to tour. We showed our invitation and all that. You're welcome to the United Kingdom, sir. I said, thank you. So we go through the arrivals, and the rest is history there. I was in the UK. Hey. I had gone through all the procedures, all the processes of getting entry clearance on a visa. So, and I would be taken in that evening, and then I was eager for the morning because it was dark. Driving from the airport, it was white, blanket white everywhere. Snow was everywhere, blanket white. Very much captivating to me, and it was my first time seeing snow. So when we arrived, I remember we slept over that night in Tooting-Bec. There is Tooting Broadway and Tooting-Bec. Those who know London, Tooting. Gentukira was supposed to stay in the YMCA hostel, Wimbledon. But I ended up sleeping overnight in a family, a Ugandan family. I'm always very good at making friends. I had met this gentleman at the airport. I think he was a cab driver. Nagamba nti jangu nkusuze, come and I host you for the night. I didn't mind, you know, I felt welcomed, you know, meeting somebody for the first time. In fact, that gentleman was called Sarongo. I don't know if he's still there. So that is how I'm welcomed into the UK. I met a Ugandan taxi driver at the airport who warmly received me. Remember, we were supposed to connect with my group, but you know, things happen for all sorts of reasons. So, and then said, no, Mujemba Twale, Muva Uganda. Let me tell you, I've always been the type of person who warms up to people very easily. He hosted me for that night, together with my girlfriend. Twaswana mudido. N'atwalira bulungi nnyo ne mukyala we yaliwo n'abaana baali balongo. They had a family of 2 children, twins. I don't know whether they are still there. I've never heard from them again. I've never heard. It's a long time, it's 26 years ago, people. So the next morning, I wanted to go outside to see the snow. And I remember walking down the road from their house, which led directly into Tootingbeck Station. Playing in the snow, blah, blah, enjoying. Then, of course, eventually later on in that day, I checked on with my uncles and family in the UK. Who brought you? There was a lot of excitement. And then, somebody's waving at me. And then, Uncle Dan drives all the way from Sarikis to come and collect me. Nangamba Patrick jango bere wange. Demkati kakati omukazi. No mukazi kuzisene ye. Nagano tofayo. You sort that one out. Angina ba wembos. There's a story there, a long story there. So, but of course, that was my warm welcome into the United Kingdom. I was warmly received by people, by the Ugandans who were here in the UK. And that excitement left a very big impression on me. And eventually, that weekend, because we arrived on Friday, we left Uganda Thursday morning. I arrived here Thursday evening. So Friday morning, Friday evening, Uncle Dan came on Saturday. So from driving from Tooting, we passed Deptford, and then we stop over at a Ugandan restaurant called Afabusta, Deptford Corner, at the bridge where there's the Lewisham College. Waliwo restaurant in Uganda, there were so many northerners there. Many who have been here, they had been here for a long time. Probably they came in the 80s. And I was so much taken in seeing Ugandans sat in there. They were eating matoke. They were eating all sorts of food from Uganda. And then we took a walk along the Deptford Market. Deptford, Deptford, Lewisham Borough Council. So Deptford isn't far from Sarikis. So I was within the area. So my study tour would begin on Monday. So I would catch up with the UK internet connections to begin the study tour, internet promotions, learning IT. Remember, I'm coming here under the guise of YMCA. It was a program. These things I talked about YMCA yesterday. Young Men Christian Association, Uganda. It was very, very pivotal in education programs. And I had been part of the setup of the computer training at If you go to YMCA Uganda, Ewandegea, downstairs, walingawo computer room. Nali nsomye computer Kenya. Nga ntegera computer, you people. Let me tell you, if I had stuck to one thing, I would be another. Near YMCA, you know the story. That's where everything pretty much would take another direction in my life. Because it exposed me to so many things, to the point that when the program director, my friend, received this invitation, Mr. William Karega, nkwagala nnyo, tewalina mutima mubi. Of course, mumanyi keguse nkola ye, now I took care of him. Now, over 1 million in yen in 2000. Ngazizo kwata teka munsao. Nienda London, ngena ne girlfriend. Kakati ebintu byali bijje bigenda mu maaso in my life. And One thing you have to remember, back in the day, you had to have a convincing invitation okufuna visa. Visa tezaliwo, visa as an entry clearance process had been introduced before. There was only show money. $200 ne invitation. Ng'obitwale wa travel agent ng'ogula ticket nga babiweza ku embassy nga bakuonamu ng'ogenda ku kisaawe. Tewaliwo bya line visa. So me the time I came, things were just being rolled out. Yeri gundi gye nabagamba nti the government here, Labour government, had launched a visa program. Baali basumuludde akajji nga baagala abantu emitwalo 40 over a period of 10 years. Era mwenna abalabanga line yali ku embassy. It was a process, a due process that was in the making. In detail. So it was a wave. Temumanyi bintu bino. Temumanyi kyaliwo n'ekyali kigenda maaso. Then the American embassy would start the same thing. British embassy waliwo library, British Council library. Nze nagendanga mu library yaabwe. You had to have a card. Nga twewulayo ebitabo ne tusoma ne tulaba ne ku bintu ebiri mu nsi library, British Council mujejjukira. In the 90s. And then you had that's Parliamentary Avenue. Orondi ku Mateo si Nando Sejja fe tubisookamu. Mumanyi na Mateos which it became